peel back the layers and get to the root, right? And I don't mean the root cause of any kind of issues or anything like that. But what I am trying to do on today's call is get you guys to peel back the layers and get to the root reason why you want to be successful at reaching your health and fitness goals for 2025. Okay. I'm gonna push you guys on today's call, but it's only to challenge you guys and help you guys grow. Obviously, there is no growth in the comfort zone at all. And sometimes we just need to look at stress as, hey, it's a way to grow. Just like you go to the gym, you lift the weights to break down the muscles first, it grows back bigger and stronger. People join the military, they go through boot camp, the drill instructor breaks them down, they transform from a civilian to a soldier. Same thing applies for here. So it doesn't matter even if it's health and fitness goals, business goals, relationship goals, life goals, anything like that. This is going to be a really good one, okay? I need somebody that wants to be a volunteer for today's call, though. So, show of hands if anybody wants to step into the hot seat. So, Gabe, goals, right? Let's start there. What are your
Yep.
2025? We'll just do health and fitness for the sake of this. That way, it's relatable to everybody on this call and who's ever going to be watching
Right.
the. What are your health and fitness goals for 2025?
2025 is I want to get under 15% body fat and I want to put more muscle on.
Okay. Why?
Because I want to achieve that because it makes me feel confident about how I look. It makes me feel confident when I put my clothes on. And it also, um, I want to make sure that my kids see that dad is striving to do something even though he's going through his ups and downs and his life is full of these things, he still can accomplish something that he put his mind to it.
Okay.
And I want to be able to be an example to my kids and how to eat and how to stay active and all those things. Um, so that way I can be an example to them that you can still have a healthy lifestyle and be busy.
Okay. I like that. So, and then let's get some clarity more on your goals too, right? Like if you said like, lose some fat, build some muscle, right? Gain some strength.
Yep.
Let's
Yep.
pinpoint that because if I was going to close my eyes or if I was going to have my 6-year-old son draw a picture of Gabe reaching his goals for 2025, he ain't going to know what to draw. So what does
Right.
that look like, right? More clarity on that.
Yeah. Muffin top. So I got this little guy that's hanging over here off the side. Um, clarity. I want to see visible abs. I reached it once during the program and then it went away, and I want to get it back.
Okay, perfect. We'll go with the visible abs, okay? So now let me ask you a question. What if you don't have success at getting abs this year?
What if I don't?
Yeah.
That's if I don't. Um, I am going to first stop, recalibrate to see what did I do wrong, what did I didn't do, what should I be doing, and where did I lose it? Where did it go wrong? What am
Okay.
I doing wrong?
Okay. It's a good answer, Stop, recalibrate, refocus. Would you guys say the same? Like show of hands, like would you guys do that if you didn't reach your goals? Seems pretty good to do. Okay. I want to give you a different perspective shift though, Gabe, and then we're gonna go back to that why, right? A few more. To just peel back the layers. So my question to you is this, right? Like, if I was going to ask you that question, okay, or if you were going to ask me that question, like, let's say my goal, right, to get to 12% body fat and maintain that all year round, okay? And somebody was going to be like, Joe, but what if you weren't going to be successful at achieving that goal, right? It would be almost like the biggest slap in the face ever. Like somebody just punched me in the face, right? Like I would get pissed off, right? Like that's the anger, right? Because so much so, guys, and I'm not just saying this for Gabe, but for all you guys, pay close attention to what I'm about to say. Okay. Sometimes having some negative emotions like anger, right, can actually fuel us, can actually motivate us to push us more and more and more. So there should be a trigger somewhere, Gabe, where it's like, what do you mean if I don't? Like, are you smoking crack or something? Like, of course I'm going to have success at achieving my goals. Like, it shouldn't even be thinking about it, right? Because now this is how, guys, everybody's mindsets work. If somebody was going to ask you if you don't have success at achieving your goal, you start thinking about if you weren't, rather than thinking about like, this dude's in the wrong. Of course I am. And a great story to help motivate you guys, or at least encourage you guys about this before we dive into the deep rooted why, because today's call is more about having belief system, unshakable confidence in yourself. And you guys are going to see that here in a little bit. But Roger Bannister, does anybody know who that is? Show of hands. You guys definitely should because I feel like I talk about him nonstop. He's the first person ever to run a mile in underneath 4 minutes. Now, he tried and he failed. He tried and he failed. He tried and he failed over and over and over again. Okay. Even when the doctors said that if anybody was going to run a mile in underneath 4 minutes, the human heart would explode. It was literally impossible. Guess what? He still tried, he still tried, he still tried. Even after multiple attempts at failing at it, he eventually got it down. So the more of the story with this one, guys, is that he believed in himself. He thought everybody else was stupid and smoking crack. He believed in himself. He had so much faith in himself that even when others thought it was impossible, he was like, I'm not going to listen to that. Right? That might be your viewpoint. That might be your mindset. That might be how you see things is, but hey, I don't need to absorb that negative energy. I don't need to take your perspective and make that my perspective. I'm going to stay in my lane. I'm going to have my tunnel vision focused on, hey, it is possible, even if I fail. Michael Jordan's a great example of this as well. Like, does anybody know that he was cut from his high school basketball team? In case you guys didn't know that, the greatest basketball player of all time was cut from his high school basketball team. Do you think like do you think he was just like, okay, cool. Like, I'll just go play video games? Like, no. What did it do? It probably pissed him off. He went outside and practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced. Why? That anger fueled him to work harder. Same thing with probably Roger Bannister. All these people are saying you're crazy. All these doctors are saying you're going to die, right? Your heart's going to explode. Do you think he felt good in that moment when everybody's saying like it's impossible? No, it probably pissed him off. You guys see what I'm saying? Is this starting to, you guys picking up what I'm putting down before we continue on? Show of hands. You guys got this? Cool. Pay close attention because I really want to make sure that we guys, all of us, right, come together and figure out what is our strong why. Because if we don't have that in the very beginning of February, we're never going to achieve success at reaching our goals by the end of December. Okay. And that should piss you off. So, Gabe, back to you. You mentioned your why was, hey, you said a lot, right? About like reaching your goals, more confidence, right? Look good, feel good, be a better role model, right? To your kids, all good reasons, right? Now, let me ask you a question. Why is that important to you?
Because I don't want to let myself down or let my kids down. I don't want to be a failure
Why not?
because then I won't be able to forgive myself
Why not?
because that will drive me lower into the ground, the way I think. And if I failed at one thing, I'm gonna fail at something else, and you're gonna lose. I'm gonna lose confidence.
We're getting somewhere. Keep going. Why? And if you have to think about it and take a minute, right? Don't feel like you need to spit out an answer right now, but literally think about it, right? So you mentioned about how you're digging this grave of getting deeper and deeper of losing confidence. It's hurting, right? Think about it. Every time we're peeling back the layers, is this a good feeling or is this a bad feeling?
A bad feeling.
Okay. And we just talked about Roger Bannister, right? Pain pushed him to greatness to run a mile in underneath 4 minutes. We talked about Michael Jordan failing his high school basketball team and not making it. And guess what? What happened to them? They end up achieving success. They end up becoming some of the greats. So we realistically need to take note, right? Success leaves clues. Maybe the pain is what we need to actually be successful at reaching our goals this year, guys. So, Gabe, you mentioned about feeling like a failure. You're losing more confidence. Well, why is
Yeah,
that important?
because then, as I what I've noticed, at least with myself, is that if I don't feel confident in myself, then these challenges of every day, they become bigger and they start knocking me down. So before where well, I would have confidence, right? And I'm sure of myself. When I lose my confidence, when I'm not sure of myself, then I become weaker in my everyday life. You know, a problem, a situation, and you're not able to face it because um, you don't have the confidence in you to go forward.
I love it. I love it so much, Gabe, that do you mind if I coach you on this last part? And this is going to probably piss you off, and it should. In fact, if anybody was going to trade seats with you right now and be in the hot seat, you got some balls for being on this one for today's call. I'll be honest with you. This is not a fun conversation by any means. Do I have your permission to coach you on this next one?
Sure.
You mentioned, right, that hey, you would feel very weak, right? That's what you said?
Yeah.
And you said that weakness would branch off into all other areas of your life, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So just imagine this, right? Let's just say you feel so weak that that branches off into all other areas of your life where now it's stemming off into your relationship with your wife. Your wife wants a strong man. She wants somebody that's going to protect her. She wants someone that's going to step up to the plate. But hey, I'm not that person anymore. Next thing you know, you guys split. And let's say she starts dating somebody else, right? Your kids, all of a sudden, hey, they start seeing who else is in the picture and they start hearing about how strong he is, right? How is that going to make you feel?
Even worse.
Way worse, right?
Lost twice. Lost to myself and I lost to everybody around me.
Yeah. And then next thing you know, it's like, hey, how else is that going to branch off into maybe the next thing you know is the business where it's like, hey, maybe your clients, maybe your customers, they want, um, I'm trying to think of a funny name here, but like Strength Electrician Company, right? Rather than the Gabe's Electrician Company. And it's
Yeah,
because,
who's going
hey,
to work for me?
exactly. Who's going to respect you if you don't respect yourself enough because you're constantly just being weak, losing the confidence, right? Like nothing. I mean, like think about it. You even mentioned from yourself. I didn't say this, you did. You're digging the grave more and more and more. We're getting to the root of it. So now let me ask you a question, okay? If let's just say the root cause, okay, is that we know, hey, if we don't have success at reaching our goals this year, the worst case scenario, okay, I didn't say the case scenario, I didn't say, hey, this is what's going to happen, but the worst case scenario is we feel so weak, we lack the confidence, we lack the strength, our relationship fails, our business fails, our kids don't respect us anymore. Do you think that's going to be very painful to be day in, day out operations and go through life feeling like that?
It's like drowning.
Like drowning. Okay. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think if that was the pain and that was the deep rooted why, you think that would push you 10 times harder to work out?
Yeah,
Do you think that would make you stick with hitting your tracking your macros?
absolutely.
Do you think that would make you do your progress photos to make sure that you're doing all the right things and you're tracking your progress and you're seeing all your data points to making sure that you're on right course with hitting your goals?
Oh, that'd be a must.
Do you think you'd be willing to go above and beyond and outside of your comfort zone each and every day?
You have no choice.
Okay. So now this isn't for Gabe. This is for everybody on today's call. Who here has a strong why? Raise your hands. Okay. Few people. Few. Okay. Couple more. And for the guys that did not raise your hands, I respect you guys. And here's the reason why. Okay. You just have to reset, refocus, recalibrate, just like what Gabe talked about earlier. If he doesn't, right? So, Tom, thank you, Tom, right? Like, not strong enough. And I'll be honest with you guys, like, there's plenty of times in my life where I need to focus more on just peeling back the layers. And it's extremely hard. And this is why, one, I appreciate Gabe raising his hand, want to be in the hot seat. Second, I love what I do here. And the reason why I love what I do here, and hopefully you guys do as well, being a part of this community, is because it's called accountability. Iron sharpens iron, right? So it's like having somebody just question you. Well, why is that important? Why is that important? Why is that important? Think about that conversation that we just did, me and Gabe, and you guys just heard. It gave you guys a different perspective. Tom even just admitted, hey, my strong why, like it's not strong enough, plain and simple. Gabe, you mentioned about, oh man, like if it got to the worst case scenario, wife leaving you, kids are looking up to somebody else as like, stepdaddy or a role model in their life, like that would piss you off, make you feel weak. And next thing you know, the business tanks. It's like, hey, maybe you needed somebody to pull that out of you. Because sometimes, guys, once again, that pain is actually what pushes us to greatness. But we have a hard time peeling back the layers. We have a hard time actually saying, right, do I actually have a strong enough why? It's one of these simple things of we want to be a beast, but are we actually willing to do what beasts do? How bad do we actually want it? Jeff Koons, I'm going to unmute you because I saw your hand go up. Harlan, I think I saw your hand go up. Mike, I saw your hand up. Everybody else, right? Bill, Jeff G, right? Like, I want to know, right, for the remainder of, this conversation, what is your strong why? And by all means, I'll ask you if it's not deep enough, do I have your permission? And you can clearly say no, because I need to reset. I need to refocus. I need to recalibrate a little bit more. Or we can talk about it, more about it to get down to the root of the surface on today's call because maybe you need some help. Maybe you need some accountability. That's why, once again, we do these live coaching calls, guys. It's not to come on here and talk about, Coach Joe's favorite donut flavor. It's to push you guys to greatness. Jeff Koons, unmute yourself. What is your strong why?
Um, my strongest why is I don't want to be a medical burden to my family and friends because of the poor choices I'm trying to recover from.
Mm, mm. That's a
And yet you can coach me as all you want. But this actually came up with a discussion with my wife and kids yesterday because one of the guys from my church was in the hospital last week and they were because they thought he was having a heart attack and they were going to put a stent in him, but he already had one. They thought maybe it was failing, so they're going to put a second one in. And come to find out that his diabetes went nuts on him, and he went from an A1C of 6 to 12 point something, and so he was like in a bad shape. And I said, this is exactly why I don't want to go back to where I was.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have a strong why. I'll peel it back a little bit more. You gave me permission. But
Yep.
like and guys, take note, right? Like knock on wood, right? That does not happen to any of you guys. What happened to one of the you said it was somebody at church?
Yeah.
Yeah, fingers crossed, right? Like that does not happen to any of you guys. But also keep in mind what Jeff just said though. That's the reality, right? Like nobody wants to be a liability. Nobody wants to be a medical burden, right? And
Right.
you think about it, it's not even just, yes, financially, right? The medical bills, like putting people in debt, like that's stress. But also like peace of mind for your kids. Like, is my dad's in the hospital bed? Is he gonna make it? I know personally for me, like I still have PTSD a little bit. When I think I was like 8 or 9 years old, my dad had open heart surgery and he needs to get a pacemaker. And I remember like going in there and seeing him and like he had just he was asleep, had the tubes in him, and that was hard. Honestly, that was really, really hard. And I remember just afterwards, like my dad was not the same. Like he was very active, playing softball, doing all this stuff. And obviously, hey, having open heart surgery, having a pacemaker, you gotta have to tape it back a little bit, you know? So
And there's more to it than that too. So I mean, like that's one part. The other side of it is I want to be around for my kids and my grandkids because I got grandkids coming, and so I don't want to be just stuck on a couch because I can't move, right? I want to be able to run. I want to be able to play with them and do whatever I need to do. So that's the other part of it.
okay, so let's dive into that part. Why is that important to you?
It's important because I mean, growing up with my family dynamic when I was growing up, I was abused as a kid. So I didn't have a dad that was around much. I mean, he was there, but it wasn't a fun experience, right? Um, just being that present example for my kids, for my grandkids, because my grandkids, like my grandson, he's got a good. My daughter's boyfriend is a good guy. He's a great guy. He's a good example for him. The biological father is not, but being a good man for him being a good example for him when he gets a little older, being a see, okay, this is what a real guy's supposed to be like. That's important to me. That's a big why.
Yeah. I think going back to what you said about growing up, being in an abusive relationship with your father, which I'm sorry to hear that. And thank you first and foremost for being vulnerable and opening up about that, because that's hard to deal with,
It is. Yeah.
but that's pain.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure there's trauma to that.
Yep.
And like I think in my opinion, that is a strong why. Stronger than probably the other things that you mentioned. Because hear me out, right? Jeff, here's a question for you. Okay. Would you run faster if there was $1 million in the middle of the woods? Or would you run faster if there was a grizzly bear trying to chase you and kill you?
Grizzly bear.
Yeah. And guys, the answer applies for everybody. It's exactly the same. Human psychology, right? Our brains are wired more to avoid pain rather than gain pleasure. Just think about that. Okay. If let's just say you knew for a fact, hey, um, if they were going to take away your house, right? And let's just say take away your kids, whatever the case may be, right? And like you'd be homeless, living on the streets, that's painful. So you'd be willing to drive Uber, you'd be willing to do DoorDash, you'd be doing to do whatever you can possible to pay the bills. Can we all agree on that? Yeah? Okay. It's just like the simple fact of, hey, Jeff, if I was going to tell you you need to lose 5 pounds this week, and if you did, I'd buy you a Snickers bar, right? We'll fit that into your macros. Or if I'm like, hey, Jeff, right? All your family is going to leave you, right? We're going to kidnap them, never going to see them again. You got to lose 5 pounds this week. I bet you anything you'll lose 5 pounds in the first day. Why? It's a priority. So it leads us to once again, guys, everybody has goals, but if you think about it, what? 90, 85% of people that create goals, every single New Year's resolution fails at them. It's not because we create dumb goals, right? It's not because we create these big, huge goals. It's because we don't have a reason why to show up. Just like how, hey, motivation comes and goes is based on feelings, that's emotions. Discipline is a character trait. Discipline, right, is going to make you get out of bed in the morning, brush the snow off the dust or brush the snow off your car, and get your butt to the gym. And that's what we need. But sometimes, guys, to be disciplined, we need to be reminded what is the pain that we're avoiding, you know? So Jeff, I think that's good, man. I think it's a really good strong why. And my thing for you is tie it to that. And don't just tie it to it when it's just like, life is great. And hey, some Coach Joe just asked me what my strong why is, and it's because of my abusive father. And like, I want to make sure my kids, grow up with a, better, happier relationship and thrive. It's like, no, tie it to that every single workout, every single morning, every single time when life throws you curveballs and stress. Just like how with Brian Malcolm was struggling with emotional eating, and we went over this with him. I said, hey, what is your strong why? You need to find that out. And once you find that out, make a video, you post in the community group, right? And Hemp did it, and a few other guys did it. And I encourage all you guys to do exactly the same. And the reason being is because to be successful on this journey, not just your health and fitness goals, but just life in general, it's very hard to do. I don't know anybody that makes boatloads of money, has six pack abs, and living their dream life, and it's just them off on a deserted island all by themselves. You need people to push you. But at the same time, you need people to hold you accountable and help you when life throws you curveballs. Because anytime you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, anytime you're trying to push and become the better version of yourself, you're always going to have that old version of yourself holding you back. Whether it's self-limiting beliefs, whether it's challenges, right? Like stress, adversity, injuries, curveballs, anything. And we look at them as obstacles, but we forget to see them for what they are. Tests, right? Little small stepping stones to success. That's what they are. It's just, are we going to pass the test or not when we're faced with them? The best way, the easiest way possible to pass that test 99.9% of the time is figure out what your strong why is. Remind yourself of that strong why when you're faced with that adversity.